There's something we say around these in our group. We say OTOTO. One time, one time, one time only. What we're gonna do, we ain't doing it again, and we ain't gonna, somehow it came up at sound check, and I was like, oh man, we should do that, I'm feeling it. And Jeff said immediately, we should find a doctor to cure me of this feeling before somebody gets hurt. And away we go.
You're listening to Live on Four Legs, the live Pearl Jam podcast experience, featuring
Mr. Stone Gossard. Fucking Cameron in the drum. Mr. Boom Gasper. You can call me Al, you can call me Ed, you just fucking call me, why don't you?
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Live on Four Legs podcast, the live Pearl Jam podcast experience. And we had a little break off last week, but we are back. Welcome back, Matt. Hello.
Hello.
How was your hectic week?
Oh, everyone knows I'm in a wedding band, and everyone knows it's now wedding season.
Yep. Don't we know it?
Of course, doing what I do, it's kind of, once you've seen 200, you've seen them all. In my case, it's once you've seen like 1,000, you've seen them all. So every time it makes me more excited to actually be a guest at your wedding that's coming up. That'll enjoy. I want to be a guest so bad.
It's one of those, it's the weirdest thing where it's like it's coming right around the corner. It's so soon. It's almost 100 days, but
Yeah.
It's like, get here already, get here fast. But I don't want to waste the summer because
Right.
I'm just sitting here like, let's get to the wedding. It's been 2 freaking years that we've been engaged. Let's go. But yeah, that should be a wedding that you shouldn't have really too much to do. Maybe a little bit. You're not getting paid for it, though.
No. I'll behave until after the ceremony's over. How about that?
That's perfect. That's fine by me. I'm doing a lot of what I'm told that day, so
Yeah.
As long as those can follow suit, I will be happy and a nervous freaking wreck. So
Of course.
So today we're going to do Hartford 2010 on the day that we're recording this. It is right now the 9th anniversary to the day. We're doing this on the day of the actual show, the 15th. This is the 9th anniversary, so that's really cool, and we kind of get to relive an early show that I went to. So that'll be fun. We'll get to that in a second. But
What number show was this for you?
This was 3.
3. Okay.
So this is really early on. This is, I have not gotten the full Pearl Jam experience, and my show experience to this point. I know what's like rare and what's common and things like that, but I only really know those 2 shows that came before. I don't know any of this other history of the band, so I'm kind of going into this a little gullible in a way, like just kind of still major fan of the band, of course, but like no idea what's really gonna happen, and sort of you kind of miss those days in a way.
I'd hate to say that those days can sometimes set up some disappointment if you go these days, especially if you go to like a spot where they're doing a night one, night two. Sometimes one of the shows might not be as good as the other, and then you start to think back on your long career of going to Pearl Jam shows, and you say, "Oh, of course it wasn't going to be as good as X show or Y show,"
Right.
and then you go to night two, and you're like, "Oh, that's it right there." But
that's why you go to both night one and night two. That's why if at all possible, you don't skip.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, we'll get into all that, obviously, for the next however long we're going to be doing this, but we have some unfinished business. 2 weeks ago, we released our State College episode. It was a long episode filled with tons and tons of discussion, and one of the main points of discussion was Satan's Bed. So, and one of the things that we talked about, that you said you thought that they had it in their mind that they were going to play Satan's Bed. There was no reason why they should have played it that bad.
No reason.
So I might have a story here, and I believe this. I'm a firm believer that if anybody's going to write this much to us and chime in, that they're, why would they stretch the truth about this? This sounds really legit. He's got all of the factual stuff that we know is in line, and all of the rest really makes sense, because it's not just like, hey, I was the guy that told him to play Satan's Bed. Yeah, sure you were. This goes a little deeper than that. So I think we have some clarity here. I think we have the reason. I really wanted to share this before getting into Hartford. So this was from a fan. I didn't get his name on the message board on the porch, but
so let me see. He's a fan that has all the answers. You don't have his name. Okay, Randy. All right.
Well, no, I have his username. I didn't get his normal, regular person introduction name.
Is it George? Is it George Glass?
No, it's
Sobelberg, isn't it?
No, it's Van Nostrand.
Dr. Van Nostrand. Did he have a first name? I don't know.
I thought he did. Was it like Charles or something?
I'm embarrassed.
Crap.
I don't know this. Yeah, we'll call him Art. How about Art Vandelay? We'll go with Art Vandelay.
Art Vandelay. Perfect. That one I can remember. So Art Vandelay wrote in, and he kind of was saying that he had been to a bunch of shows with him and his friend. His friend was a huge fan of Satan's Bed, and all he's ever wanted was to hear Satan's Bed. And he went, I think they went to like Cleveland 98, Pittsburgh 2000, Pittsburgh 2003, and those were ones that, they would go and they would bring a bed sheet and it said play Satan's Bed on it. So they were, that was what they've been trying to do. So this really kicks off where the story is. They drove from Buffalo. They got into the fan club line super early at like 5 or 6 in the morning, and spent a long day outside the venue, which they said a special energy, a special buzz. And when Ed opens the floor for a request, I will admit, knowing the history of the band and just excited to see what was going to unfold, I completely forgot about my friend bringing the unused t-shirts from last week's show. So that was, I think, the Pittsburgh show. I should have... It's a long story, and I'm kind of picking at points to tell here, but this all makes sense. Until multiple people near us were chanting Satan's Bed, Satan's Bed. We looked at each other. He grabbed one of the shirts and then quickly tied it up in a knot so it had some weight to it, so it wouldn't just float to the ground while in flight. He hands it to me, and he says, I played baseball a lot growing up, and he trusted my arm way more than he trusted his. Not even paying attention to what Ed was saying, I cocked back, and in mid-sentence, I hit him bullseye as if we were playing catch in the backyard. I estimate a 30 to 35 foot throw We were on Mike/Jeff's side about 8 rows deep. I should check my ticket stub. So on the shirt said, "Thanks for the music. Please play Satan's Bed." It was written on the shirt in a unique rendition of the devil. And that makes sense with the story because when Ed opened the shirt, he said, "Thanks for the music. Please fuck me," which is, that same language that he's utilizing here. So, and he says, "I think they played it that night for reasons combined into the moment. I felt like they were up for anything that night. Ed kind of committed to it by saying, as he unfurled the shirt, if it has a request on it, we're going to play it. And it sounds a little cheesy, but niceness can go a long way because we said, please play Satan's Bed instead of a common command like Exhibit A, play Leash You Pussies. I think it was easier for Ed to consider trying it. He holds the shirt up so only he can see the front and reads it, and I recall Jeff being curious and looked over to see what it was. They all congregate. No one knows the song except for Jeff. That's very obvious. And he's playing his part to try to remind everyone how it goes. And as soon as Stone kicks it off, I knew exactly what it was. Not even my buddy noticed it immediately. Obviously, not many did until Matt and Jeff started to play. So and then it kind of goes on saying it was an amazing experience and all that. And that sounds pretty legit. I'm buying this.
I believe it. Still don't think it should have been played.
And, it is what it is.
I think things are still getting a little fuzzy too because I listened back to it and we had mentioned that maybe Jeff had started and taken off with it. I listened to it. I think Mike starts it, and I actually think Jeff knew it kind of the least. I don't think Jeff knew it at all. And I also listened back to.
I don't think any of them knew it.
I also listened back to. Because I felt a little silly after we had recorded because I even had mixed up what I was saying. I listened back to Mankind and 100% Jeff's fault. 100% Jeff's fault. Jeff had no idea what he was doing in that song. And then when they restarted it, Jeff still didn't know what he was doing. Jeff, man, come on. Rehearse.
It was a bad Jeff night. I don't know.
I don't know, man.
Tonight, I feel like today's show makes up for the Satan's Bed from last week. Even though there's a good story out of it, we do get Satan's Bed in this show. And frankly, I thought that was a very good Satan's Bed. So
it was a pleasure to hear.
So we have can kind of compare and contrast between the two over there. So all right,
I'd rather not bring that one from 2 weeks ago up ever again.
I know you don't want to, but I'm not going to be able to hold myself.
And neither will I. I know.
All right, let's talk about Hartford. Like I said, it was my third show at that point, and I kind of had a better idea of what to expect, but kind of had this list of running songs, and I've been actually doing a lot of checking up on Facebook memories just to see what I was thinking at that time, because I was very much I don't really do this anymore, but I was very much make everything public person back then, and for a couple days I was like, oh, play this, play that. I think I wrote the lyrics to Crazy Mary as a status once, and I guess most of the songs that I wanted to hear were pretty basic. One of them was WMA, which I don't think I understood at the time, was almost never played as an actual song, because one of the 2 times I had seen it had been played, so what else was I going to think?
Did the tag kind of almost throw you off to where sometimes maybe you might miss it if you're not paying attention?
I don't remember that. I think it was one of those things where, it was just hearing WMA and it was cool, but I think I wanted the chorus out of it at least.
Yeah.
We'll get to that though.
Yes.
So, random things about this day. I attended this show with my ex, and at the time she was starting to understand the obsession and starting to understand, I guess, my love for the band, and I don't really remember how much I expected of her and like how much I expected her to know and how much she did know. I know she liked all of the very typical songs, and Backspacer was very new at the time, so we listened to Backspacer a lot, and I think Just Breathe and Amongst the Waves were two that stick out to me. But the thing I'll remember from this day, it's kind of, we're gonna kind of get into it here, because it all ties together somehow. Earlier in the day, she graduated. She got her master's degree from Sacred Heart University in Fairfield, Connecticut. I think it's in Fairfield. I don't know where else it could be. And really, our relationship was kind of ended due to religion. She was very Catholic, and I'm really agnostic slash atheist slash Jewish background, and I have a very bad relationship with religion in general. That's not to say that I don't respect anybody else's viewpoint, but if anybody kind of infringes on mine, I get very sort of defensive about it. So yeah, she was Catholic, but like I guess I didn't really understand what being Catholic was about. I they didn't go to church every Sunday, but like I didn't get it. And I still kind of don't. So, and we ended the relationship due to religion. At one point, she had joined a church choir or something, or she was singing at church or something like that, and she wanted me to go and watch her sing at church, and churches scared the living crap out of me, and they still do. I went to a wedding in a church, and I felt like I was unwanted. I was an unwanted child in there. But that again, that those are my issues. So that's not to say anybody else has anything different, but so I told her I wasn't stepping foot in a church because that was just how I felt. And that turned into her obviously thinking that we were going to get married in church, and I thought that saying that was disrespectful to my family, who don't have the same religious viewpoints, and I thought it would be neutral or try to bring both together, and it all kind of fell apart. So this is the thing I remember most from this graduation ceremony is at the end, because this is a Catholic school, Sacred Heart. At the end of the ceremony, they bring a pastor or a priest out, and they do, I guess they do a prayer or a blessing, and everybody in the crowd, the may God be with you, also be with you. I'm saying this stuff. I don't know this stuff. I know little bits and pieces, but like the crowd reciting it back scared the living crap out of me. I was legit like, what do I do? I've never been in this situation before. I've never, I don't know. I'm so confused. I felt like completely out of place. And then the place started a prayer. And I didn't know what to do because everybody else around me knew what to do. It was sort of like Snap, and everybody knew the directions, and nobody told me the directions to the game beforehand. So I was very much out of place, and what I did was I decided to hold my breath for however long the prayer was, because I was afraid that I would say something very stupid, one, Or two, I just didn't. I just thought that maybe I would take my attention away from the everything that was going on, and maybe that would help. I don't know. But that's specifically what I remember from this day outside of Pearl Jam. And yes, that relationship is over. Long over, obviously, very obviously. And no, we are not getting married in a church. So I figured I mentioned that because it's just kind of it's part of what I remember from this day, and that's sort of what we do here. So
I feel like nobody else will ever share that same experience as you did on a Pearl Jam day.
no, probably not. Probably not.
A lot of
but
people have similar experiences. I could confidently say that is yours and yours only.
I mean, at least the holding your breath part.
I thought maybe you
Again,
were saying you were bored and you're like, all right, I'm going to hold my breath for this prayer, see if I could do it.
No, I was legit scared.
Okay.
I was terrified because it was like a party that I was uninvited to that, I thought they would all, somebody would look at me and say, over there's the Jew, get him! I legit thought all these things were going to happen because I don't understand or didn't understand religion at the time and thought that maybe they would hate on me for not sharing their religion. But
nah, you'd be fine. Jesus was Jewish.
Yeah, for a little while. One time Jew.
Oh boy.
It's all right. Besides that, the only non-Pearl Jam thing I can remember from the show is I accidentally left my debit card in the ATM at the XL Center. Ugh. And so we go inside and I go to pay for like a beer or a hot dog or whatever, and I realize my debit card is gone. What the hell happened to it? So I had to like beg and plead with the security guard, hey, I think I left my debit card in the ATM machine. Will you let me come back in? Will I be able to get re-entry? Because if I didn't, if I couldn't re-enter the arena, then that's no show for us.
Shit out of luck, yeah.
Yeah, so most of these shows it's no re-entry, and it's very you go to baseball games, it's the same way. Once you're out, you can't come back in. To the point where when we were at Fenway, we stepped out. This was like right as Rockin' in the Free World was ending. We had stepped out because I was trying to look to see if there were poster stands, if there were merch stands for posters, and the security guard, like, I made one step back in the direction I went in, and the security guard said, whoa, you can't go back in. I'm just like, I'm just looking for merch stands. I don't know. And the security guard was like, no, you can't do that. And I said I was literally here, and another security guard walked over and was like, it's fine, go do whatever you want, but that shit can be strict. So thankfully I did get my ATM card back. Somebody brought it up to like a concierge desk, and I am able to tell that it was probably a Pearl Jam fan and not a resident of Hartford, because if it was a resident of Hartford, I probably wouldn't have gotten it back. So if you are happen to be listening and that was you, thank you. I'm sure it would have been hell without it. I've had about 20 more debit cards since then, but it definitely didn't ruin the night. So that's good. All right. We ready to kick it off?
Oh, yeah.
Kick it off with some tunes. Opening up the show here. I don't know what I was expecting. I had two shows openers were, the first two were Release and Hard to Imagine, so I was thinking more along those lines. I would think that at the time I was probably Thinking Sometimes, because I was really into that song at the time, and like, along those lines, more of those slower, ease in songs. But one I had absolutely no expectation for, or I didn't even know it would be played on this night, even though it was played this whole entire tour, was Unthought Known. And that was the opener. And once they started playing it, I was just kind of like, really? This is how they're going to open the show? This is like almost intrigued, but then again, like almost disappointed, because it wasn't really on my list of songs that I wanted to hear from Backspacer. But that's because I just wasn't into it at the time. But looking back on the show and listening to it, and even in the moment, like getting into the song and starting to get into the show while it's being played, it worked. It worked really well. So why don't we listen to it here? Because there's not going to be a lot of other shows that we cover where Unthought Known is going to be an opener.
I want to give it the whole taking the stage lead in too, to really give you the effect of it being the opener.
I think that's a fantastic idea.
I think it's the only way to do it, really.
Yeah. So let's do that, and let's get a feel for how this night kicked off.
All the thoughts you never see, you're always thinking. Brain is wide, the brain is deep. Oh, why you sinking? Feel the path of every day. Which road you're taking? Burning hard and making hay. Yeah, this is living. Look for love in evidence that you're worth keeping. Swallowed whole in negatives. It's so sad and sickening. Feel the air up above. Oh, full of blue sky. Fill the air up with love. Oh, like with starlight.
So, yeah, this was pretty much last on my list of expectations. Going through and seeing what they would do with the song opener-wise. 2 nights before this night, they did it in Buffalo. And then later in the year, they would open with it in France. And then the only other times where they've opened up with it came in 2011. So pretty rare to hear as an opener, especially for a song that's as common as this nowadays. This is like, this was a leftover song from Backspacer. If you don't hear a Backspacer song, if you only hear one per night, it's probably this one or Just Breathe. So what'd you think as an opener?
These days you could kind of have some expectations as to what will open up a set. You have your washes, your releases. Even sometimes you have a corduroy, and it's, there's something expected about those songs. But doing the show, I've kind of learned to just throw all of my expectations to the wind and not really have them anymore. And this is a perfect example of that. I thought it was great. There's nothing wrong with it, and there's nothing wrong with starting off a show where the crowd is clapping along from the jump off. There's nothing wrong with that either. So I loved it. I
I think my initial fear, and I wasn't as tapped in at the time, but I didn't realize how many people love this song at the time. I thought that this was just kind of a, I don't know, an in-between song on Backspacer. The songs I loved
Right.
from this album at the time were Amongst the Waves, Fixer because it was the single and, catchy, Gonna See My Friend, and I think I was really into Supersonic at the time, actually. Now that I think about it, but Unthought Known was just kind of afterthought known, and when they did, I was very surprised that the crowd was really into it, and I think their energy and enthusiasm got me energetic and enthused. So it was really, you'll see the way the show develops and goes on, it's a very positive show. It's got a lot of happiness. It's got a lot of positivity.
Definitely.
And I guess how they open with this, with the song, I guess just kind of takes all the positivity and, it's a perfect way to showcase that that's what you're going for with this set.
This song set absolutely the perfect pace and momentum for basically all of set one, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's interesting. Nothing gets it's more poppy. Nothing gets really hard or fast or anything like that. But it really does set the pace.
Do you think people there maybe had been following them or had seen this song live previous? Because this is a song to where if you see it live once, you're probably going to be pretty into it the next time you hear it. It's a really great live song for fans, for participation. Maybe not so much for participation. Well, maybe so, because
no, it's a participation song. Absolutely.
Aside from a few lines, it's a good clap along, and that's
right.
the perfect way to start a show. So I think if people had seen this or heard it live in some capacity, you're going to get a great reaction from it.
I think it's the chain reaction theory where
maybe there might be 100 people in there that have seen it and they start getting energetic and everyone's like, yeah, I'm feeling this too.
Sure. And they follow up and their energy on it kind of translates over to you and translates over to the band.
And you could tell really fast from hearing a song on the album and then being in a live setting and then seeing it live. You could tell right away from the crowd, from the band, if you're going to be really into it or if maybe you're not sure about how this song is going to sound quite yet because you're only familiar with the album. And I think this is a prime example of how when the song starts, you could say to yourself, no, this is 100% a live song and 100% a solid opener.
I absolutely agree. This is a live song in every way possible. To the point where, like, I don't really listen to Backspacer that much, but sometimes I forget where it is on the album because it just sort of, it tends to be forgettable. But live, I remember almost every time I've seen it because it's a memorable moment. And this one is absolutely no different. So, that takes us into Corduroy, which was very much a song I wanted and expected, and very much this spot. And you can really hear the crowd a lot in this bootleg, and you hear them on the recording singing back to Eddie in the beginning, and it really it gives that. It's just you're almost thinking to yourself, why Hartford? And I thought I thought this to myself.
I wanted to ask you when you wanted to bring up. You told me you had a theory today, and I do. I didn't want to jump the gun. So, is this an appropriate time? Do you want to tell the story? Because I'm very curious.
I think so, because the crowd is going to play a major role in this entire show. But I think we need to kind of explain why, because you might be thinking to yourself, if you're, I don't know, a Midwestern, West Coast guy, you're thinking Hartford, Connecticut, why would Hartford, Connecticut be such a good show with such a great crowd? And There's a reason for it.
Mm-hmm.
It's because it's dead center in the middle of Boston and New York. So all of those transplants, even the people that maybe say, I can't make it to do the full tour, to do like, multiple days on the tour, the people that said that I couldn't go to the MSG shows, couldn't go to the TD Bank Garden shows. I can take 2 hours of a drive and head over. And even people from Philly, it's not that bad of a drive from Philly. It's a little less than 4 hours. So you have this melting pot of huge fan bases that are coming in, that are super excited, that are treating this like a garden show. And then you have the locals and the Hartford people that maybe you get people that are just like, oh, I'm only going to go if it's in my hometown. And that translates to them. So the next time that they played Hartford in 2013, that was even a better crowd than this crowd was.
Right. So I you're absolutely correct, because most people, say a lot of people that travel for whatever reason, a lot of people in our neck of the woods travel for, for everything. So you say, where's Hartford, Connecticut? And people say, oh, yeah, you pass through there when I'm going to New York, or, oh, I pass through there when I'm going to Boston. It's 95, it's something you go through. But for a Pearl Jam fan that goes to Boston, that goes to New York, you say, where's Hartford, Connecticut? They go, I know exactly where Hartford, Connecticut is, and why haven't I thought about that before? It's the perfect location, and you could get an arena full of diehard fans from two very, very popular diehard Pearl Jam locations, and it's kind of like a secret spot, and it's kind of like where I hate to say stragglers, because I always welcome new fans, but Hartford could become a spot even over Boston or New York where it is just an arena full of diehards because of its location.
That's what it really seemed that way. I don't know if I grasped that.
That's how the bootleg comes
show.
off from the as exactly what we were saying about Unthought Known. I mean, they're ready from the start with that song, and the song is relatively new. And if you're not following them around, you might not be that familiar with it. But the crowd is 100% in on this song, and maybe it's because it's a full arena of absolute diehard fans.
I think you got something there, because I don't think you can tell by the bootleg, but I don't think from being there, I don't think I captured that. I was just thinking like, oh, everybody's really happy to see Pearl Jam, and I didn't really grasp the whole encompassing what the fan base was about. I thought the fan base was really cool, and I was really happy to be part of it, and I wanted to be part of it more. But 2013, where I did feel like I was part of it more, I felt like whenever we do that show, there's a point where when they stop, I think it was after Last Exit or Lightning Bolt or something like that, like right in that middle, early first set part, they stop. The crowd gives them a 4-minute standing ovation.
Yeah.
It is absolutely incredible. So
don't sleep on Hartford, guys.
Do not sleep on Hartford.
Don't sleep on Hartford.
Yet don't make Hartford one of these cities where it's impossible to get tickets to.
Randy, maybe we should just abort this episode and keep Hartford a secret. Guys, this never happened. We're not talking about Hartford. We're
talking about
Kalamazoo. Great show in Kalamazoo.
Yeah, they brought it for that one.
They did.
Other things on Corduroy. This is one of the sneaky good corduroys that's been in my playlist for a long time. Because at the end, where they're really starting to, they get into that ending part, Ed's just belting, "Here we go! Here we go!" And that always stuck out to me as such a powerful version of this. And it fires you up. And I remember absolutely loving it when I was there.
Yeah, he'll do that time to time in a corduroy. And especially when it's early on in the night, you know that he is going to be ready for the rest of the night. You know that the band's going to be ready for the rest of the night. And And that's exactly how it was here. And it's a nice, short, sweet, to the point version. It's a perfect way to start off early in the set.
There's nothing fancy. Yeah,
Nothing fancy at all, but it's good.
It's very good. Yeah, it's straightforward. It's not like, I don't think anybody's gonna come up to us and be like, "That was the best corduroy I've ever heard." But they're gonna be like, "Man, corduroy should be played like that often, early and often." So,
Yeah.
that takes us into the next song, which is, at the time, I was very, very surprised to hear this here. Do the Evolution, number 3. I guess my, Evolution out of all the songs is probably up there with one of the most I've ever heard. Next to Even Flow Alive, Evolution is probably, number 3. And you don't realize that they do it that often because they can mix it around, and it's not like how Alive is, where you know exactly when they're going to play Alive. You know exactly around when they're going to play Even Flow. But Evolution, they can be like, all right, number 3 tonight, Evolution. They can sneak it up on you like this, and it sort of, it changes the feel of the song, and it feels like it changed the feel of the set that early on, like that you really weren't expecting it. And I remember there was some rocking. I felt like the arena, there was some vibration going on the same way that people talk about the MSG show.
I had that. I think you were with me. I think it was one of the Red Hot Chili Pepper shows in like Jersey we went to see. I think you were there.
Yeah.
With Chris Crawford, right?
Yeah.
Our friend Chris. Do you remember that? Like you felt the stadium like swaying. There's something
kinda
very unsettling about that, but
yeah,
it's cool to talk about. But in the moment, you're like, is this going to be a tragedy on the 11 o'clock news?
good. Yeah.
Do the Evolution, very easy to place anywhere. It's actually really nice to see early for once, because I feel like we haven't gotten it this early ever, or at least in a very long time.
They were kind of playing. They were playing with it around this time in 2010. I think they were. I don't know, because one of those other MSG shows I went to that year, I think they played in the same exact spot.
Right.
So that time I was expecting it, and I kind of knew it was coming. But
yeah. So
this one, no.
I had mentioned this to you today. I kind of had an overall feeling for the whole show. I also mentioned to you before we started that I revisited this show just today, and I had a whole page of notes, and I ended up getting rid of a lot of them because they weren't making any sense, and I totally disagreed with myself on a lot of the stuff I had written. And I was able to pretty much sum it up into just one thought. And that's that this is going to sound bad initially, but it's not a bad thing. I think this show is really sloppy, but in a very good way. It's sloppy in a fun way. You had mentioned maybe more lighthearted, but my point to you was in Do the Evolution, if anyone ever has heard this song on the album or live ever, Jeff does this little bass run, before every chorus, and he does it every time. And I was laughing to you today because he tries it every single time here, and he cannot do it at all. He flops it every single time, and it's just really sloppy playing. And it comes up a few more times with everyone in the band. Everyone is sloppy, but it's so much fun because it's not like, ooh, that was a bad note, or they fucked up a song, or they're screwing up orders, or Ed's voice is cracking. No, it's just sloppy, but it's fun, and it's real. I said to you, it's real. It sounds like a real band, like rock and roll.
Yeah, I didn't know what you meant by that.
Yeah,
but now I'm starting to get it.
Yeah. So you could have some mess ups, but it's not taking you out of the performance completely. It's difficult to describe, and normally I'll get on them when something is bad, and these little sloppy mess ups are not bad. It's tough to describe. I'm very
I
particular.
I get where you're coming from, and I know that I've actually lately listened to this bass line, more. I've been paying more attention to it because I've noticed some things that he does in it, and I get where it can get a little sloppy because Mike and Stone are playing essentially the same thing, and Jeff is doing do 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 do, and he's doing something completely different.
Yeah,
But then he's going back to that dun 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 dun, and he only does it once.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's like it's confusing.
It is the part that I'm talking about is right before it's Evolution Baby. It's like a do 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 do.
Yeah.
It's like that. He can't do it here, and it's not that he's like, it's not that he's like freestyling. It's that he's just really sloppy.
There's a couple notes off on Guitar Hero,
but like I said, it's fun, and I know John Farrar's going to jump on me for this because he's going to be like I'm contradicting myself. But John, there is a very defined line between sloppy good and sloppy bad, and
this was sloppy good.
This show is sloppy good, yes, because it's fun.
If that's how you feel, I like sloppy good out of your mouth and sloppy bad. That sounded bad. That sounded odd.
I got it. I got what you meant.
Yeah, I know you got it, but it just
it was weird.
You're telling me. The only other thing I had about Evolution was just, and I don't want to spend all day on this topic, but like they were singing it. Ed was singing it like it was a late set song and not an early set song. He was letting it all go in this. And it sort of made me think like, well, if you had all of this, if you had a version like this ready and prepared to go, I feel like this kind of version would have been better later in the set. It would have been really good late in the set, it was just fine here. If you know what I'm saying.
Because it's also like, holy shit, he's given us like encore energy in the third song. So yeah.
Right. Save some, save a little bit. But I think they were...
for the good thing is that it remains pretty on point for the rest of the night. It's not that he overstretched himself or anything. It might have been risky. I understand what you're saying, but at least it goes the positive way.
Right. Yeah, there's nothing bad about this per se. It's just, when you're thinking like late in the set and like getting all the energy, back up or after something slow or something like that, like you would want a version like that. But you know what? Third song in, you're getting that still pretty freaking good too. All right, we get to song numero 4, Got Some here. And 2010 me does not hate the song just yet. He thinks it's fine. And it really wasn't until they started playing this in the encore that I was really like, fuck this song. Because I remember hearing this in a couple of encores, probably during the Lightning Bolt tour.
Yeah.
And that's where I started hating it.
We disagree on the song, but we both agree that it is 100% not an encore song.
No. If you're gonna play it, I don't mind this spot, especially for this tour. And the only other spot I kind of like is maybe late first set, maybe like 13th or so song in.
Yes, I agree with both things.
Yeah. Ed greets the crowd after Got Some and says it's a bit early to be breaking microphones. Oh, that's right. He broke his mic.
Yeah, there was...
he broke the mic stand.
I thought it had something to do with... There was some wicked feedback that...
Yeah, that was like right at the tail end.
Yeah, did he drop it or did the mic stand... Like, what happened?
I don't remember, and there's an hour worth of footage on YouTube, and I should have looked at that moment. I totally forgot about it. I think I even remember missing it when I was there. I was paying attention to something else.
I thought that feedback was a pretty big coincidence. I don't know if maybe he dropped because you said something happened with his stand as well.
I thought his stand is like he was rocking his stand back and forth, and I think maybe you know how in the middle it kind of screws in, and I think
Yeah.
maybe that
Oh,
he
maybe
kind of cracked that part.
maybe the microphone hit the ground then and caused some feedback. It could have.
Yeah, maybe that was it. I don't know. This is all speculation here.
Right. Something happened though, because he.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
But he was having fun. He kind of laughed it off, and that was pretty good. So he mentions that they usually play the outdoor venue in this neighborhood, which is depending on what generation you're from. It's either the Meadows or the New England Dodge Center, or now I believe it's the Xfinity Center. So I call it the Meadows. That's just what I know it as. But it's like the same kind of outdoor amphitheater with the grass berm that everybody
Yeah.
can bring their picnic chairs on. It's not the best venue in the world. It needs a lot of updating, but Pearl Jam played there in I think 2006 and 2008, and maybe one other. 1998. I'm pretty sure they played there. So they had frequented Hartford and the Meadows a lot. But this was the first time they were in the XL Center. So he mentioned that he loved being in the enclosed spot closer to everybody, and he loved the sound and their sound check. And he kind of, there's another time in this show where he's like, I really love it here. It's great. I think the other time he says something about the brown stage, making it feel like they were in a garage. And everything, he's just very happy. He's very happy at the show, which is, awesome. That's what you want to know. But like, awesome that it's kind of there's some hometown pride in that because at the time I hadn't even been living in Connecticut for a year, and seeing how time is passing. Next month will be my 10-year anniversary living in Connecticut. So, now I can say like, wow, that's really cool that Pearl Jam really loves playing in Hartford. But back then it really was kind of like, why would anybody ever come to Hartford?
And now we know.
Now we know. Now we know. That takes us into Severed Hand. Around this time, I think really early on, like the first like 5 or 6 shows that I was getting this every single night. So it was kind of expected, and maybe I kind of wanted something else in this spot, but I call this song nowadays, I call it a rechaser. Do you know what a rechaser is?
No.
I made it up for the show.
Okay.
I'm surprised it's taken us 35 episodes to get there, but a rechaser is, and put it in your Live on Four Legs dictionary that you got there. A rechaser is something that you've heard before, haven't heard it in a long time, and are bound to hear it again and really want to hear it again. Like, I think that Red Mosquito, hearing that at Fenway, I was rechasing Red Mosquito because I hadn't heard that since 2011.
After that one, I almost don't want them to ever play it again because that one was so fucking good.
Fantastic.
I mean,
Absolutely.
just honestly retire it. I don't want to hear you try to do it as well because it was perfection. So of course play it again. I don't never play it again. But goddamn, if I never hear it again, that's the way I want to go out.
Go out on top.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Severed Hand is now a rechaser for me, which is I feel like I haven't heard it in ages, and I would love to hear it again. But this is I had really no notes on this one. It just the ending sounds really good.
Yeah.
That's what I wrote.
Yeah. The only thing that kind of gets me about this song is right after the first chorus, Mike does those little harmonic parts,
Yeah.
and I don't know if he screws it up or if he just likes to ditty around on it a little bit live, but sometimes I wish he wouldn't freestyle off of it live because it adds such a good element to the song, which is why I'm sure he did it in the studio. I would just for once like him to do exactly what he did in the studio live, and then we've heard it before. We've covered it before. He'll do it, and he'll hit the wrong note, and it'll be just a little off key, and then he'll find the note. And I just want
I wonder
I just want
that's
the
something
album.
he just doesn't remember.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I want the exact rhythm. I want the exact harmonic, and I want exactly how it is on the album, just once, live. I don't think that's asking too much.
You're an avocado apologist.
Purist.
Purist. That's, yes, not apologist.
No, because I like it when he does different things and different solos. It's just a couple measures, just a couple bars. Just give me what's on the album one time. That's all I'm asking.
Right. Just that little extra.
Right, because it's on the album and in the song for a reason, and it's such a killer part.
Right. Yeah, I didn't recognize him not doing something there. Or
yeah, he riffed on it a little bit, and I'm like, no, just okay. It wasn't
go all out.
Again, it wasn't bad. It just wasn't what's on the album. So
right. After Severed Hand, Dissident. I remember being very, very, very happy to hear this, and
who wouldn't be happy to hear this, Brad?
What?
I said, who wouldn't be happy to hear this song, Brad?
I don't know. Who wouldn't be happy to hear this song, Brad?
I don't know, Brad. Listen, if you could find me, Brad, someone that doesn't like to hear this song, Brad, then I would love to meet Brad. Him. Okay,
meow, Brad.
Oh, boy.
Oops. Yeah, no. I was probably not expecting Dissident at this point, and this is, I would say, one of the high points of this show, Brett. So we're gonna play it, and Brett hopefully is gonna listen to it. So cool, let's do it.
She nursed him what to say. Soon she was down, soon he was low. When I caught up fast, oh no, she had to turn around. When she couldn't hold, oh, she floated. This is empty, she Save me forever, save me forever.
So I really hope that Brad liked hearing that, because it was one of my favorite tracks from the night. So I think I had a slight understanding that Dissident really wasn't something that you were going to hear every night. So it felt like we got something really good early. And it's kind of like a personal stat for shows, for me at least. Like, I think there's a lot of personalized stats that I have at this show, but I've only heard Dissident one other time out of 17 other shows. So like that's why this really stands out to me. And it's probably not the best live version of the song, especially at the end. He kind of says fuck it. But I love it. I really, because it's, again, rechasing. It's become a rechaser for me, Brad. So
yeah, again, a little bit sloppy of a version, but sloppy in the way of it being, it's got this jammy feel to it. It's really natural. The guitars sound amazing. I thought this is a great version. I just want to, of course, touch on, this is song number 6, and we've got a pretty stacked first half of the first set. I mean, this is a great. This is what you ask for here. What does he say at the end there? Escape is never. What does he say in this one?
I thought it was something like the fuck out of here, something like that.
And you know what I always wanted him to hear? I don't remember what bootleg it was on. We haven't covered it It might have been one that we were at, but he goes, escape is never the safest plan, but it's highly recommended. I've always wanted to hear him do that again.
I remember
but it's highly recommended. I don't know.
I don't think it's one I've been to, but
it might have been a bootleg that Steve gave me, but it's out there, and I've always wanted to hear him say that again. I always thought that was really funny.
I know I've heard that before, though. That's funny you mentioned. I haven't thought about that in a long time. Wow.
Yeah,
it's highly recommended.
I'm sure that was in some kind of, threat level midnight, politically. So, so the highly recommended part, I thought it was probably fitting for the time period. So maybe we could start there and then figure out where it came from.
They didn't play this at Reading, did they?
Yeah, geesh, I don't remember.
Because it sounds like if it's highly political, then it would be that era.
The Reading show, I don't think the bootleg on that wasn't great, and I remember the bootleg where he says that I think was pretty high quality. So
okay,
yeah,
we'll have to look for it.
Yeah,
if anybody knows, that's very specific.
I know, but
I'm sure
it's out there.
Yeah, I'm sure it's happened more than once.
I'm sure Bagel Bogle might know. He knows everything about bootlegs, and so does Baba Farrar. So I'm sure between the two of them, they'll be able to tell us.
Yeah, we'll get that answer. I know I'm supposed to text during the shows if I don't know something, but
right.
We just got to move along a little bit.
Sure.
Ed gets on the mic and says that this one would be in a perfect setting if we were outside. So envision that. And that's where this part is where he says he loves the stage being brown, kind of like being in a garage. So this gets us to Low Light, which would, I guess, be played around the time that the sun would be going down. I don't know what time they took the stage, but
yeah. All I know is when they went into this this spot, I was like, no really? Light, no lights, no.
Oh, you love it in the beginning.
Oh, but then it kind of turned out to be one of my favorite low lights we've heard.
It's a really good version,
yeah,
and it's one of the more upbeat versions too.
But they made it fit very well here with I think just because the performance is so good, and
right.
It being a little bit more upbeat. I was surprised. They hit that first couple notes, and I'm like, no, I'm fully against this. And by the end of it, dude, I think it's the best low light ending. The last note he hits and holds out.
He does hold it out a long time on this one.
There's no pitch problem. There's no cracking. This was great. This surprised me big time.
And this is like right in the middle of where Low Light is really making this transition into being a regular in the set. This was the 30th time that they played it. And since then, it's been played 44 more times, which you would think in 9 years isn't a lot. But considering that, we're sitting here in 2019 and we don't have any shows to look forward to, 44 is a pretty good amount for a song that wasn't even played when its album came out, not until like 3 years later.
It's really interesting too, because we're seeing it like literally move up the set.
Yeah, it's like, I think the perfect way to explain it is like it's the 6 or 7 hitter who might be like the second baseman, and it's kind of on a team that's sort of a tweener team, not that great, but not not awful, but they kind of just get either homegrown guys or free agents that are they don't have a lot of expectations for, and then all of a sudden they move them up in the lineup and like they're killing it, they're raking it. I think like Low Light in translation to a baseball player is Justin Turner of the Dodgers.
Okay, all right.
Formerly of the Mets. Yes, that was a mistake. But like when he was on the Mets, he had like no expectations, but he was a good clubhouse guy, and he played the game right, and nobody thought that he was going to be like a 320 hitter. And the minute he left the Mets, he becomes the Dodgers' everyday third baseman. He's hitting third for the team, and they go to 2 World Series. So
Yeah.
Low Light is helping the band go to World Series.
I see it being like they test it. It starts out low. It's low on the rank. It's like a janitor. It's not even like the janitor. It's like the
it's just a factory worker.
It's like the turd in the toilet that the janitor can't unclog.
Oh,
and
that's horrible.
But
and that's also I'm Open.
When they first started to kind of bring it back, though, it sucked. And then what does it do? It keeps getting promoted. And then before you know it, it's the CEO of the company that's opening up a Wrigley Field. And it's one of the greatest songs in their catalog that gets a very, very high honor. And that's the way it should be.
There's another song in the set that we're going to talk about in a little while that I'm really hoping becomes the new Low Light, because I think it's just one of those songs that it does sound really good on the album. And if they ever decide to play it again live and decide to perfect it, I think it could sound really good. But we'll get to that one in a little bit. After this, I think Ed makes a mistake here. He says, Jeff wrote that last one. That's not the mistake. But then he starts to tell a story and realizes that it's not for the next song. So he corrects himself and he gets very confused. And he's like, this one's for you, anyone. You all can have it. And that gets us into Amongst the Waves. One that I think I said before, I was gravitating toward the song the most when the album came out, and I had a feeling that it was going to be played at this show and probably the other 2 shows that I was going to at this tour. I enjoyed. I was very happy with this version. It's pretty steady, aside from some hesitation during Mike's solo.
A little bit.
It was barely audible, but honestly, this was a good spot. This is a good spot for it, right before Even Flow. I think that kind of eases you into something that's about to get you excited.
I totally agree. I think Low Light and Amongst the Waves work very well together here. I think they're working well going into Even Flow, especially towards the end of the first part of a set. I think this pairing sneaks up on you. They snuck up on me for sure. I didn't really know how to dissect or translate this, and it turned out to be a home run, really, and or a two run home run. You get
it's scoring Low Light from third.
You get Low Light and Amongst the Waves on there, and then Even Flow comes up and brings them on in. And listen, Amongst the Waves, fantastic performance. I thought it was great, and you hear the crowd on it, which you can't ask for anything more. That's what you want. You want to hear that in a bootleg. You want to hear this participation. I'm going to be totally honest with you here, though. I am starting to not really care for Amongst the Waves.
Just as a song.
Just as a song. And it's not because I don't like the song. I do like the song. This performance, I don't want to get this twisted or confused. Loved it. Just kind of bored with it now.
Well, it's funny that you say that, because after these string of shows ended, this was probably the one that I had listened to the most. After these string of shows ended, it was like, all right, the new hot girlfriend is here, Unthought Known, Amongst the Waves, kind of put it on the back burner a little bit. I think the last time, I think we heard it at the first show at Fenway, and my reaction to it was kind of like, huh, all right, cool. Instead of like, I'm just really, not, like, I'll never not like it.
Right.
But it wasn't a reaction that I had to, like, diss it in at this show. Where I'm just like,
well, you know what?
That's awesome.
When they announced their tour for 2028, which is what it's looking like, by then, if they do Amongst the Waves, I'm gonna be all for it. All right, that's a promise. Just give me till then.
Till 2028. There'll be their fourth goodbye tour.
That's when the next tour and the next album will come out, right? Because it looks like where we're. Of course, I'm exaggerating.
That's around the same time that it's taken for Tool to release something, right?
They're playing shows now, and they're like starting to put singles out. I'm like, wait a minute.
No, they got it's a legit. They put out a date. I think it's August 30th.
Oh, right. You're right. Yeah, that's right. Because then I said to myself, apparently I overslept 10 years because there's no way they're putting something out already, right?
Yeah, you Rip Van Winkled that.
I had to have, yeah.
From what I remember, I think Mike was definitely playing behind his back, and you can tell when he's playing behind his back because it's like very specific. And I think it was like right in the beginning of the solo that he was doing it. But I don't know. The energy was really good throughout the song, but it is very even flow. It is par for the course for even flow.
I mean, great example here. Eddie lets the crowd sing it when they come out of the chorus, and it sounds incredible. Mike and Jeff and Cameron are completely locked in. But
Mike's doing something with the reverb, actually.
Yeah, but you know what?
That was kind of interesting.
It's like Corduroy. There's nothing groundbreaking here. It's just fucking great.
Yeah.
Straightforward.
Nothing we got to convince you guys of.
No. If you, again, not the best even flow by any sense of the word, but if you get this even flow at a show, it's great. This is what you want,
Yep. You want a version like this. There's no sloppiness. There's no, the crowd is into it. The crowd is giving their parts, and everything has its place in this one. And I can't really complain. All right, we get to the post. There's a lot of speeches in this show.
A lot of little. They're like they're like the tags of the speech world because there's like a bunch of them, but they're not long.
They're not long, but there's also like he talks about something, he mentions something, and then he's like, "All right, well now here's what I really want to talk about."
Right.
So he says, he points Mike out and gets a tremendous standing ovation from the crowd. Said Hartford has been very kind to this band the last 2 times we've been here. And then he goes off on describing a young couple who were standing on the corner holding hands earlier that afternoon. And you can tell that they have a long life ahead, no job yet, stability far ahead, but it was powerful. It looked like they could do anything if they stuck together. And there's something important about long relationships. We know about that up here. You reach higher planes of existence and communication and an experience that you never have if times didn't get difficult or tough. And the next song is a cautionary tale about someone who had that and let it go. And this I'm starting to talk like your dad. Can't shake that.
Randy's Eddie Vedder impression is the same as the impression he has for my father. My father sounds nothing like Eddie Vedder, but they go hand in hand. Yeah. And my father looks exactly like Hank Hill. Yes.
Yep. This was a great way to introduce the song. I thought that was a really nice thing for him to say, and a lot of the positivity coming from the show. That's things that you can kind of learn from and take from Eddie from this. And I think the relationship that I was in during the show, I did end up become Nothing Man because of that. Well, we didn't even say that was the next song. I kind of assumed you guys knew where we were going with this. But yeah,
it was a good segue.
Yeah, Nothing Man is the next song, and I did, once this relationship ended, I kind of felt like I was the Nothing Man, the empty stares and all that stuff. And this one around this time was hitting me pretty well.
Yeah, we've heard better. This one isn't. It's not great. but it's got emotion. It's got passion to it.
Yeah, I thought Jeff sounded really good. I thought he came through crystal clear on the recording.
Yeah, absolutely. This has a great.
That was a standout for me.
Absolutely, it's got a great Jeff bass part to it, and
the crowd is also top notch.
Crowd is top notch on it for sure. Nothing special on this one, but this one it's tough for me to say anything bad about. Yeah, it's just a great song, and
I'm still
perfect after Even Flow. Absolutely perfect.
Yeah, I think Nothing Man After Even Flow is my absolute favorite place to hear this song. Even though there are other spots that are good for it, but it just it really takes you into, the mood setting and just sort of campfire for a second, after something that's really electric and energetic. And the crowd is taking that same energy and enthusiasm that they had for Even Flow and injecting it in Nothing Man. And that's why, this version and most versions where they can do that, it does sound really good. And I wonder if that's kind of what they're thinking when they put the set together.
Yeah,
so
possibly.
This I'm still looking for the one. There's one where he tells a story after Nothing Man where it has something to do with when they were playing in Germany, and he did the Into the Sun, and he he raises his hand in a certain way, and he made sure he never did that again. You know where I'm going with that, right?
Unfortunately, I do know where you're going with this.
But in 2010, you didn't worry about, Nazis figuring out that you had, a podcast, and I'm a little worried. Let's put it. I don't think any Nazis listen to Pearl Jam, so that's maybe I should be a little less worried. But
let's hope.
You know what I'm saying,
right?
That's not Nazism in 2010 was something that could kind of be joked about, and I don't think Ed would tell that story today.
Right.
Let's just say that.
Yes.
But I'm still looking for that show. I thought it was this one, but I'm still looking for that show. Let's hear it for Johnny Guitar. That's every time when I think of this song, I think of him saying that before going into the song. Let's hear it for Johnny Guitar. Rare enough at this point where they'd only play it, 2 times after this performance, and it really wasn't. It's just kind of one of the filler Backspacer songs. We talked about this a while ago. We covered it. I want to say Philadelphia or Berlin or both, but we're both very much meh on this one.
Oh, I'm not meh on this at all. I hate this fucking song.
Okay.
I have a very firm standing on this song.
Okay.
Oh God, I do not, Randy. I do not like this song. I do not care for it.
I say meh for me because out of all, I don't really hate a lot of their songs at all. There are some that I dislike way more than others, but this one is kind of adjacent to the ones that I really dislike more than others. It's kind of I feel very mad about it, and it's just kind of it is a stat to me.
Yeah, I get it, and
this version is a stat.
We had talked about it in depth with Steve, and
Steve loves it.
I get it. They wrote it to be rock and roll and to be fun, and it's got this Clash, Who, Ramones, fun, just this nostalgic vibe to it, but I think it's stupid. I feel like
it's really stupid.
I feel like they maybe were trying to do too many things in a song, and it's just like a swing and a miss for me.
Yeah, that's sort of those reasons why it's just kind of I'm very mad about it. It's just it doesn't take itself seriously, and it's not like you want it to.
You don't want it to. Dude, that's exactly... Yes, that's the perfect way to put it, is that... Now I'm going to try to put it into words, which I don't know if I can. I don't think it's supposed to be taken seriously.
It's not,
but there is nothing wrong with that. But
there's nothing wrong with it, but that's the problem, is that they don't have a lot of songs that you could do that with. So when you hear a song this late in their career where they're doing something like this with it, and you're just kind of like, did they really just kind of throw away a track on the album? That's sort of, to me, that's how it feels.
Right. I feel like if this song isn't supposed to be taken seriously, which I'm sure, not that the song isn't supposed to be taken seriously. Take every song seriously and then form your opinion. But if it's just supposed to be for fun, then it has to be fun. And I don't think this song is very fun.
No, it's just kind of, it's bleh. There's not much to it. It feels like every song he's got a little something to say. So again, he just says incredible guitarist, songwriter Johnny Guitar Watson. The next song was written with another incredible guitarist and songwriter, written with Neil Young, and that is I Got Shit. I think around this time I really, really, really loved hearing this song. It was, it was definitely one that I would go and think about beforehand and say, like, this is on my top 10 of wanting to hear this every night kind of songs. It's not, I don't feel that way about it anymore because I'm not a child and I don't get off on screaming I got shit like, a child anymore, but I still love it. I still really, not my favorite version of this song. That is reserved for Buffalo 2013, but I was very happy to get shit in this point.
Yeah, I really liked this version. I liked it for the reason that I like Dissident. Eddie was a little looser on it. They were a little bit more jammy on it. The chorus I thought sounded great. I always love the chorus in the song. It's so catchy and it really comes out of nowhere. It almost feels like this chorus doesn't match the verse, but it's seamless. And I like this one. Also, always a pleasure to have as well.
Pleasure to have in class. One of the things we really haven't talked about with this song, and maybe we'll save it for another time, how they do a different intro than it is on the recording.
Oh, and the outro on this version is spectacular as well.
Oh, where they go.
Yeah, that was really good. Yeah.
Yeah, they kind of do like two or three times where they kind of do that
It was good here. It was good here.
It's not words that can be explained by saying that. It is noises. So, actually, I have an idea because the next song is Jeremy, and I wanted to play Jeremy. Play the end of I Got Shit into Jeremy because I think it's seamless, if I'm not mistaken.
I will play the end of I Got Id into Jeremy.
I got it. I got SH asterisk T.
You know me, I call it something different every single time.
You can never predict.
Never. No, I'm a loose cannon. You never know.
All right. Before we get into talking about Jeremy, let's kind of take it off this high. Hear that ending part of I Got Shit because it was really good. Get it into Jeremy, and then we'll talk a little bit about my first Jeremy.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'll take some help on this next one if you got it. You'll know it when it comes.
this was the first of my very many Jeremys that I've heard, and yeah, I've gotten sick of this song at points, and I think doing the show, this podcast, let me speak. You can't say show and mean podcast because show means so many different things. Like when we say we have to use the word episode when I'm doing social media stuff, use the word episode when you're referring to our when it's in like our tense or something like that. So yeah, just something to realize. But I was really, really hoping for Jeremy at some point that I wouldn't have to wait too long to get it. And the third show is probably longer than most, you would think, right?
I mean,
or is it pretty par for the course?
I don't think you were totally swinging for the fences there. I think you had yeah.
But this is I'm happy waiting for this version because this, unlike the State College version that we heard, back what feels like a month ago, that I remember it was really lackadaisical, and just Eddie was just kind of bored with that version.
Sure.
But this, it felt like there was a lot of energy. There was a lot of crowd participation, and I just remember that whole GA section just bumping up and down, and everybody was moving during this one. And I actually think that I had stated, right when Jeremy hit, I had said, I've never seen this before. And the guy in front of me turned around and he's like, oh yeah, man, watch this. And this is one of my favorite performances from the show, actually.
This Jeremy was fantastic. I had really no notes for it except for crowd sounded great. They were ready for it, obviously. Not to get ahead of ourselves, but the pairing, which I was always okay with, you're rubbing off on me. It's really starting to irk me now.
The Jeremy daughter pairing.
Jeremy daughter pairing. Spoiler alert. It's coming across as lazy now, and almost I don't want to say pandering to the crowd, but they know that the crowd is gonna give them a huge response to it. But now that we've gotten this a few times, I don't know, man. It's meh.
I'm gonna get really nitpicky with this.
Oh, please do, because normally it's me that nitpicks. I need you to finally nitpick instead of me.
Right. Hopefully I can kind of change your mind on this. Daughter into Jeremy, not into it. Jeremy into daughter, I'm okay with.
Well, it absolutely picks it up. It's better flow wise. It's better for momentum.
Right. Jeremy is intense and you get something poppy and continue the sing along, and I feel like if it was daughter before Jeremy, I have more of an intention to say that you're just playing the hits right now. I don't know. Maybe it's just because Jeremy is like a 4 to 5 minute song, and daughter with the tags and everything like that, it just lingers so much.
Right.
So there's so much time in between, daughter ending and before Jeremy that you just kind of...
It could be a buzzkill.
Yeah, so...
Especially if the tag is, like you said, a lingerer, which...
This one was.
I thought. I am so glad. I didn't... This tag was... It was a little lazy for me. It was I don't know. I wasn't into this one.
There was just a lot of hey.
It wasn't... It definitely wasn't the most creative.
No, and it's fine. This version, does he say... oh, no. He doesn't say white male... He says white male Arizonian in the lyrics.
Yeah.
But there's another version on this tour where he does it, where he I think, points out like a shirt or a sign, and he says white male from Arizona before they do it.
I think it's just in the lyrics on this one.
That's what okay, that's what I thought. So yeah, he's saying that, yes, there's... Boy, have times changed and stayed the same all at the same time.
Yeah,
that was Arizona had put some like really harsh immigrant policy into effect at the time. And now, now the country has put in harsh immigrant policies. So, yep, things have gotten worse. But, abortion's doing well right now. Everybody has a lot of great abortion rights in southern states. But, not a place where we share too much politics on this show. But.
And that is where the episode goes off the rails. I like on our shows, episodes, podcasts, whatever you want to call it, where you could literally pinpoint every moment where the train derails.
Yeah. We can pick this one back up though.
Sure, let's go for it. Let's go for it.
It's going off a bridge, but
Yeah.
Going over a bridge, I should say.
There we go.
Daughter. So you had texted me before and you said that there was kind of like a false start with Crazy Mary, and I had forgotten about it. There's a false start with Daughter, and Ed says, "Oh, that's a good song. Let's do the longer version of it." And it's just kind of it just goes along with the mood that they were in. They were just playful,
It's not. Yeah, it doesn't take you out of the show. These are little things. I call them hiccups. There's hiccups in this show.
You can just laugh about it.
They
invite you to laugh about it.
Right. It's not these train wrecks that I go back and I say this was a totally like with this show off the rail moment for their set. It's nothing like that. It's just a hiccup here, a hiccup there, and it's all in good fun, which is the difference.
They bounce back.
Right. It's the difference between good sloppy, fun sloppy, bad sloppy, abort the song sloppy. So that's the difference here.
Yeah. Speaking of abort the song, this is a version of this song where this is not a version where you'd want to abort it, because this is a really good version coming off of the story that we had told earlier about why that version of Satan's Bed from Penn State could have happened. And I subscribe to the theory. And yes, that version was not very good, but a lot of people have very good memories of it. I have very good memories of Satan's Bed from this night, so we're going to hear it. And also,
I think we owe it to everyone to play it.
Yeah, play that beginning part where he says something right before they go into the drum beat. I have no idea what he says.
I forget too. Well, let's listen to it.
Because it goes, or something like that.
Right. He gets a little devilish. But I don't know what he says. We'll play it. We'll have someone figure it out for us.
Sure. Yep.
Natas.
This version. I thought this version was really good. And at the time, really happy to get it, because I don't think I realized the significance of getting it, that was only the 30th time ever playing in a place like Hartford. It feels like they'd save it for big shows, for not reunion shows, but anniversary shows and ballpark shows and stuff where, hey, let's bring it back for a reason and not just be like, Hartford 2010, yeah, let's play Satan's Bed. You know,
Yeah.
there's only eight more times after this that they'd play it. So, and I've seen it twice. So it's pretty cool that, and it was never a song that I've said like, I'm gunning Satan's bed tonight. We're gonna get it. I really want it tonight, but I've sort of ignored the fact that I've heard it twice, and I shouldn't. You know, that's kind of a nice little, nice little trophy there, so to speak.
Yeah, well, after last week, this even if this wasn't as good as it was, I would have taken it.
Yeah.
But no, yeah, this happened to be a good performance, and I have not.
And a version that wasn't requested off of a T-shirt.
That's right, and I have not gotten this song at all yet. So I would like
Oh.
I would like to get a good version of it.
Yeah, we'll get you it.
Yeah,
We'll keep going.
2028, baby. The geriatric tour. That's where they come out and they're wearing they all have Crocs on, and Boom is wearing a muumuu,
Oh my god. Oh no. Boom would be like 80 at that point.
Jeff opens up the set sitting down with his upright bass, and the rest of the show starts, and you wonder why Jeff doesn't stand up, and it's because he can't, because he's
They're
old.
just playing Pendulum and Nothing Man and Daughter.
Yeah. He gets his 1990s knee braces back on. dusts them off, but this time it's because his knees don't work anymore.
It's not a fashion statement.
It's because it's the arthritis.
Oh man. No, it won't get to that point before anybody freaks out. They'll play by next year.
We like to have fun here.
Yeah. So that was Satan's Bed. This is Satan's Kitchen. That's how we tease up the next one. I love Satan's Kitchen. This song being referred to that way.
It really fits, doesn't it?
Yeah. And no other because this was such an early show that I went to. A lot of the stuff has stuck with me. Like thinking
right.
Lucan is Satan's Kitchen, and the Let's Hear It for Johnny guitar. Like little stuff has just stuck with me from this show. Just
definitely, yeah.
Because for a while, I only had 5 shows, and that was all I had to listen to. So, didn't know I was gonna do a podcast where we were covering shit from 1996.
Right.
So, Lucan is dropped like a step lower, and it sounds a little strange. It sounds more like it's from hell, though, right?
Straight out of hell.
Yeah, in a good way, I think.
Oh,
it's full.
I thought it sounded great. Eddie's vocals are great. It's tight, and it's not rushed. If they rush Lucan, it's fine, because I kind of don't mind it when it sounds a little stupid live, because it's
right. Just not the
yeah.
It's not that.
You could rush it. You could have fun with it, but don't fuck it up just to fuck it up. Like just to you know what I mean? Like,
oh, I know exactly.
Don't fuck it up for the sake of fucking it up. Like this one,
don't race itself.
This one sounds like a song. This one sounds good.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it sounded like they could have continued, and you wouldn't have batted an eye.
Right. Just because it's Lucan doesn't mean it shouldn't be shown some respect. As kind of dumb as that sounds for a minute-long song, but
yeah, it's interesting you say that, because like the way that we cover Lucan on this show is very much quick and to the point, because it is really just a minute song, but it is in a lot of cases some people's favorite moment of the night, or one of them.
I absolutely love the Lucan moment. I love it. And I think you're right. I think a lot of people like it too.
And it's just like there's not, and it's fun, but there's just not much to grow. It's a transition, and there's just not much to grow off of it,
Sure.
So I do like the transition from Lucan into the first set closer here. Gonna See My Friend. We're gonna play it, and then we're gonna talk probably a good amount about this. So First set closer, Gonna See My Friend. Really interesting. Let's hear it and then talk. That Lucan was dropped down a step lower, and I think that was probably because Gonna See My Friend needed to be a step lower, and they wanted it to be a seamless transition. Does that make sense?
It does. Yeah, I think Gonna See My Friend is in D, I believe.
It sounds like it's in D.
Yeah, I don't quote.
I only know D and E, so
I have not listened to it in a long time. It sounds lower than your standard E tuning. Being a player, I probably should have quickly researched that before talking about it, but yes, I am on the same page with you on that.
Now, how do you feel about it closing a set?
I love it. I think it's really cool. I think it's different. I think when they walk off stage after playing it, you're like, whoa, okay, that I was not expecting that. I think it leaves something to be desired for the encores, and it gets your mind running a little bit. You know, you don't see a rear view mirror.
There's no finality to it.
Right. It kind of leaves you hanging, and I don't think that's a bad thing. The only problem I have, though, is that this song is so cool on the album. It
doesn't translate well live.
The chorus goes into that real, like, gotta see my friend. Like, it gets real dark and heavy, and when you play that on like headphones or really good speakers, that chorus and Gonna See My Friend like really gets you in the chest. It's just not the same live.
I 100% agree.
Listen,
with you.
I loved it. I totally loved it here. I loved listening to it, and I love the idea, and I love being kind of strung along here and not knowing what's going to come next, and saying to myself like, wait a minute, did they just end a set? All that. Awesome. Different, cool, love covering it, love listening to it. But on the album, man, it kicks ass, and it's not the same here.
This is by far, this is an album song. I remember, okay, so because this is my only Gonna See My Friend that I've heard or seen live, I've obviously heard other versions. They've only played it 15 times. This was the 11th. And this was also the only time that they dabbled in closing with it. So for a long time, that's kind of how I saw the song. I didn't know any other placement for it, and I never really thought about any other placement until I went and I looked to see how they used it in other shows around this time. And how I'm seeing this is, if this was normal and they decided not to roll the dice on this would be in the Evolution spot at number 3, and Evolution would be right here.
That would definitely work, especially in this set with a quarter
coming off a quarter.
100%. Yeah. It would have been really cool. I mean, I think it's fantastic here too. I love it, and I will say I think you might agree with me is that it is played very well. It's just not.
I thought there was some rough spots. I thought that like the intro was a little, I guess it was a little off, or I guess it was a little late. But I don't. Maybe it's just the song as a whole that I just felt
right.
It was just sloppy compared to to the album version. The album version feels so crisp, and it has this energy.
Yes. So exactly. I liked the performance of it here, but overall something is missing. But I love the stat, man. I think it's awesome.
It's a good stat.
I think it's fantastic.
And you're never going to see it close a set again. So
Probably not. Probably not.
Are you ever going to see this live again? That's a really good question, Mark. Who the hell knows?
I don't have this song either. And if we did, I think it would be somewhere in like a number 3 spot or definitely not a closer.
I think that's
definitely not a set
strong.
closer.
Yeah, I think that's number 3 in 2019 would be a really
safe spot.
No, not the exact opposite. I think that like it's almost confusing people because I don't think a lot of people see this song as like hell yeah, I love the song. I think people just kind of see it as the opener on Backspacer. I love the song on Backspacer. I think it really,
me too.
I think it fucking kicks ass to start the album. It's one of the best album openers out of all of them.
Maybe it needs to be brought back for that very reason, for people to say, "Oh, okay, this has been a while."
Right, but number 3, where something like Go or Animal or something recognizable. This isn't recognizable 9 years later. Is what I'm trying to say.
What I think would work, maybe not that early because I think it is detuned and I don't think they want to be switching guitars so early. But who knows? Maybe they would.
Yeah,
I think it's safe for that spot in 2019 and later on in the set because I think it might be easier for Eddie to sing to where he could wean himself into a set with it. But also if it's later, it could be a song they throw in that he'll have no problem with.
Yeah, but it's so tough because if you're getting to the point where it's like, I don't know, 11th or 12th song in, is this like too hype for that moment where you're usually getting a Daughter or a Jeremy that's
true.
Kind of a song that can hold a set together a little better. This isn't really a foundation song, so to speak.
Say they run into like an encore 2 where it's an encore 2 where anything goes, and they happen to do a version of this song that perfectly encapsulates the album version, and they start off an encore 2 with just the best live version of the song you've ever heard. How about something like that?
If they did, I'd be all for it.
Okay, I completely agree with that because I think that would be shocking enough. And encore 2, kind of anything goes, and if the version is good enough, that could be a great way to segue into like Babas and Rock-Ins and stuff like that.
Right. You're kind of expecting in Encore 1 and 2 that you're going to get something sort of out of nowhere. So
and you could also expect in those encores to very, very realistically maybe get a song or two that you don't even really like, but that's what happens in the encores. There's going to be like one song where you're like,
just hopefully not got some.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, hopefully we see them in 2028 bring this out again. In the year 2525, it just reminds me of that song. Back to the Future. Back to the Future, into the present, into the past, whatever this is that we're doing right now. We're in the encore. Ed said, this always kind of, I thought this was pandering at first, but now that I listen to the show so much and we talk about it, I'm like, I really think that he was talking truth here. So he says, we took an extra second backstage because we were having a conversation about how good you all are. And he says, we're feeling the energy. We appreciate it. And then they asked for the lights to come up and they want to read some signs in the crowd. And I'm just like, you're just pandering to the Hartford crowd. You don't give a shit about Hartford. No, I think they do.
Yeah, I think they do. And I think the crowd gave them a reason to. I think this is genuine. You could hear it.
This is one of the more memorable moments of this set. Another thing that sticks in my mind. Ed asks for somebody with decent seats to bring up one of the signs. He wants to read it, and he reads it, and he says, "All right, okay, I got it. We ain't gonna play it, but good try." The song is Black, Red, and Yellow, and which would end up getting played at that MSG Night 2 show. So here's the thing that's memorable from it. He says, "Don't be mad at me, but we don't come to your house asking for bacon and eggs. We just don't do it. But if you made us pancakes, we'd eat pancakes. Or brownies with something in them."
Wink, wink.
So then after breakfast foods, he shows off a vinyl of Backspacer, says there's a connection because Tom Tomorrow, who is the artist of the Backspacer, did all the art from Backspacer. He is from Connecticut. He's a political cartoonist. His real name is Dan Perkins. So he comes on stage and says, "This is the greatest rock and roll band in the world," and the crowd goes crazy. And then he chucks the vinyl into the audience, and also they discovered that there was a porn star named Tom Tomorrow. So
of course there is. Oh,
a porn star that goes back in time to 2028 so they can see when Jeff was wearing a knee brace again.
Oh boy.
Then he dedicates this to Dan and his wife Beverly, and it's Just Breathe. And you're pretty much guaranteed Just Breathe in this spot to be played every night during this era. Good version, and I don't have a lot to say about it, except I wrote this. So when we were going to do the show last week, I wrote this saying, "Don't have much to say, but it reminds me of Mother's Day, so happy Mother's Day, everybody." Hope you all had a nice Mother's Day. Happy belated Mother's Day to you all.
Yeah.
So, but it did remind, I don't know why it brought up, it reminded me of, like, I don't know, love and, just kind of, it's a very mother song, I think. It has, like, that nurturing.
Listen, I understand if people don't like it, but you are just full out lying if you don't feel something when this song is played, and full band's performance. Thank you.
Boom, 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 boom,
Boom, boom, boom, boom. Come on, dude. Get right out of town. It's great. It was great.
Yeah, this was awesome. So the next one I sort of brought up earlier with Lowlight. Songs that don't get utilized, or didn't get utilized, that need to be brought back. And I really feel like this is the one. Ed says that they've only tried this next one once and it sounded awful. So hopefully they can do it right this time. Actually, Ed, they've done it twice, but way back in October we covered this version on the Spectrum show. You can listen to that show in our archives. It didn't make the clip show. It wasn't good enough to make the clip show, but it was not very good, that version of Spectrum. Do you remember that? The Spectrum version was just, it took like 2 or 3 times to get off the ground.
Right.
And that was the last time they had played it, was that the closing of the Spectrum. And so they try it this show, and Backspacer song here, Speed of Sound, and then we'll talk a little bit about it.
Yesterday's how quick they change, all lost and long gone now. It's hard to remember anything moving at the speed of sound, moving at the speed of sound. And I'm still holding tight
So they're really hesitant on this, and Ed's kind of saying like, I really hope this one works because we're just kind of trying it out. And I think they've only played this. I don't remember what the number was. Good thing I have my stats up. As I'm not wasting time talking before getting my stats up. They've only played it 7 times. I was going to say 9, but it's 7 times. This is the third appearance of Speed of Sound. And honestly, I think they got it pretty close to pretty good here.
I like the song, and I thought this was a really cool moment. I didn't really like it though. I don't know.
But compared to the version that was in Philadelphia, last, like they completely butchered that, and they had to get through it. But this one, I feel like they knew what they were doing.
They did. I think I liked the moment of this campfire portion of the show, especially full band's version. I liked that more than I liked the performance.
Would you argue saying that as a full band, and I know we say that we like Just Breathe as a full band, but would you argue that maybe this could sound really good if it was just Ed and Boom? No, I feel like the drum track on this,
because I promise you, if this song isn't like, obviously they have trouble with it. Even when it sounds good, there's still things that are off about it.
Okay. I feel like the drums is what's gnawing at me here. I feel like the drum track on this is gnawing at me.
If that's the case, and they can't get it right as a full band, if it's just Eddie, it's going to be an absolute train wreck. I think okay. he would just
figured I'd ask,
Yeah, I don't see it being better now.
I think they need to go back and try working on this again. I think this could potentially be the low light of this generation.
100% agree. Yes.
Because I feel like this is one, when you get it right and when you work on it, and I think it's going to be one that people, I felt like they slept on low light. I felt like no one really recognized it, cared about it before they started, bumped it up to the 3 spot in the early part of the set. And then it just out of nowhere, it's almost like a new song,
right?
Because you're not hearing it for all that time. But I think Speed of Sound can really, if they wanted to do it, they could turn it into that. But time will tell. 2028, whenever they decide to do it,
we'll see.
That goes into State of Love and Trust. Good version of State. I know we talk about State a lot, and I'm sure you're just still on the I'm done with it phase.
That is accurate. Yes.
Yeah.
You would be correct.
We don't need to spend too much time on it. All I can say is that I'm sure I really loved this version when I was there. I'm sure I did my jump up and down in one spot dance that I always do, and I got nothing. It's very straightforward. It's good.
Yeah.
It's not bad. It's just not. And usually, State of Love and Trust is memorable, but it's glue.
Yes.
It's good glue. It's really good wood glue.
I think that is the case for it here as well.
Okay. Perfect.
Good glue. Good glue.
Good glue. we've
GG,
just
GG.
We're killing it on terminology tonight. Coming up with
or we sound
words
like
for
idiots.
Everything.
I don't know.
Let's soon to be determined. Whenever we put it on a T-shirt.
What did you call severed hand? A chubby chaser? What was it?
Not a chubby chaser. A re-chaser.
Oh, right.
Not a chubby chaser. You said that on purpose.
Well, because I didn't know what it actually was called, but yeah.
Oh, I thought you said that on purpose to be funny.
Well, I said it on purpose to be funny, but it was because I honestly did not know what the first word was.
That's like when a politician or like your grandfather says, "Oh, you got those Pokemon cards."
My Pokemans, yeah.
Yeah. They know what it's called, but they say it wrong for a reason. All right, time to get serious because this is a serious part in the set. Important stuff here. Ed says there's something we say around our group. OTOTO. One time only. And we're going to do something here. We ain't going to do it again. That was a lie.
Son of a bitch.
Came up in sound check and I said, we should do that. I'm feeling it. And now there was actually a set that I was listening to that they kind of noodled it. Mike noodled it a little bit. And I think it was around 2003 or 2004. I can't remember when it was. Mm-hmm. But I didn't realize it was literally days ago. I should have marked down which show it was. But like this is kind of like a Mike Noodle song almost, where he does it in sound check, and then Jeff says, "Somebody get a doctor to cure me of this feeling before I get hurt." So there's a reason to play it. Well, their reason to play it is that Jeff tells me you have a women's basketball team that are some of the most badass women to walk the hardwood, and they've won a shit ton of titles and stuff like that. I think they were on like a 90-game win streak at that time, and they're really pretty much Connecticut's pride and joy. We don't got much. We got Legos. Legos are up here. But, you know, the women's basketball team is and the men's has been pretty good too. But, you know, good dedication, good reason to play this song. One time only, unless we are going to cover Hartford 2013 at some point. So it won't be the last time that we cover the song, but it will be the first. Ain't talking about love. OTO, one time only. And again, no, it wasn't the only time they did this. When they returned to Hartford in 2013, they did this. And then later that year, they played in Seattle. But I think this is really cool because it kind of, you know, it tells Hartford that you guys are special enough to get your own song that we're not going to do anywhere else. You know, and that they brought it back the second time kind of tells us that, like, hey, you guys are more special, you know, being Hartford, random city, random capital city in America, better than, I don't know, Kansas City or Baltimore, or, you know, Hartford's not in the pantheon of great cities in this world. No, it's a dump. But that they went to a dump and they did something like this and made such a cool moment and made you feel like proud that, especially the other time that, live in Connecticut, go to these shows in Connecticut, and you're going to get Ain't Talking About Love, and nobody else is going to get that. That makes you feel really good,
Yeah, it's definitely cool. I mean, I will say it is the easiest Van Halen song you could cover, but no, it's awesome. It's awesome. If it's probably the only city you could see it in.
Besides that one Seattle, the one time they played it in Seattle,
right. Is it the best song? Is it like, does it rank up to like super rare performances of some of their own originals? No, it's like it's just it's fun.
Put it this way: nobody was asking for them to play it, but nobody was telling them not to.
Yeah.
But it wasn't like, out of all the songs, I don't think I had this reaction like, "Oh my god!"
No, and
I had this this is awesome.
And it's Ain't Talking About Love. You probably never will have that reaction to it, but it's still.
I'm also just not a huge Van Halen fan. I like Van Halen.
Yeah, me too. But I don't like that song like that. I've been playing that song for a decade. But still, there's yeah.
It's like the most typical David Lee Roth song on the planet.
Yeah. It's just fun. I think it's fun.
Yeah, great moment, awesome moment, and something that, again, you got to go to these Hartford shows because it's sort of a tip of the cap to this little, Connecticut nutmeg state city that really gets no love in the rest of the world or no love in the Pearl Jam community. It's all New York, Philly, Boston, Chicago, Seattle. Those are, the Fab Five of, Pearl Jam fan cities, so to speak.
Yeah.
And Hartford right in the middle of all that. Again, we talked about it before. That's why this crowd is awesome on this night. It's just kind of it's a thank you for being such an awesome crowd when we really didn't expect it. So, and then Mike shredding at the end, doing Eruption was awesome, and kind of the seamless transition into Riffy Porch, which wasn't. Now I didn't. Besides, like him doing the whispering part, I didn't hate how this transitioned into Riffy Porch because it didn't have that like extra strum to it, like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, this wasn't over the top. It was
at least like
it wasn't great, but it was a little less annoying, I guess you could say.
Right. That's the best way to put it. Yeah. I didn't hate it. So, as far as this version of Porch, what'd you think?
It was Porch. It was, yeah. I like seeing it at the end of an encore. I think it's the perfect spot for it, and the crowd wanted it, and the bands gave it to him.
Do you think that a lot of Mike's stuff that he was doing was kind of, he was mirroring the Van Halen flow that came from the previous song? Like, I feel like a lot that he was doing was very, very much Eddie Van Halen.
Well, I think what's great about Mike is that he likes to randomly tap into like the style of like a famous guitar player, like either Van Halen or
he'll do Jimmy Page
or Hendrix or Page. Yeah.
Yep. And he'll do Angus Young sometimes too.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I almost said Van Hendrix when I was saying Van Halen because I was going to follow it up with Hendrix, or guys like that, and that playing style will follow through sometimes in solos like this and even flow. So I think that's entirely possible. Yeah, he's a good enough guitar player to where he could tap into that, and
he's kind of chameleon like.
Yeah, he'll do something original, but he knows how those guys would solo. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, he's tapped into it more than you would think he is, or more than you expect a guitarist to be. Like there's some guitarists out there that I guess they just sort of have their style and they stick to their style, and when you hear it, it's like, okay, that's Eddie Van Halen, that's Jimi Hendrix, and they don't really do anything else. But Mike, outside of like, some stuff on 10, he's so eclectic with what he does.
Yeah. Trying to kind of find his own personality,
Right. That's probably why he kind of gets left out of conversations when you talk about, the all-time great guitarist, because he's just, he doesn't have a signature. He has a little bit of a signature, but it's not, he doesn't do it for every album,
Right.
So anyway, Porch only played 4 of the 13 shows during this leg, which feels really light, which is nice.
I was just gonna say, if I go to a show and I don't see Porch, I'm not going to leave upset, because you've seen it, and
Right.
yeah, there's other things that could be done. So, yeah, would a rear view mirror have been a little better here in my taste if I was there? Absolutely, but yeah, Porch out of Van Halen it works. It works.
Yeah, I think that Porch was a really good fit for the set. Rearview Mirror would have taken it in another direction. I think Porch took it in the direction that the set was going, so to speak.
Right.
Encore 2. Ed says, this is one of those gigs that you wish your friends... This is another one where I'm like, it's Hartford, dude. He says it's one of those gigs where you wish your friends and family went to, so they can see you do something really great with your life. If you ain't through with us, we ain't through with you. And then Mike says a couple words about, I think, a woman who helps people that don't have health insurance. That sounds right. I'm sure she has a lot of work that she's doing nowadays. And she's located in Hartford. So if you don't have health insurance in Hartford, listen to this bootleg and find out where this woman is. And then Ed intros the song by saying, she's good at fixing things. Pretty standard to hear the Fixer in the set at this time, but Encore 2, not my favorite spot. What do you think?
Yeah, that's going to be a no for me, dog. Yeah, I don't like it here.
I get, look, if this was 2013, 2016, 2019, I would have said absolutely not. It's 2010 and this is a single and it's kind of out there and they're going to play it at every show anyway. So it's fine. You're not going to hear it on Encore 2 again. So I don't mind. It's fine.
Yeah. I mean, I guess when you're putting it up against Got Some, I would say Got Some is going to get the main set a spot as far as singles go. But
right.
Yeah.
It was nice not to hear this third or fourth song in, which seems predictable.
That would have been overkill, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. If you got Fixer and Got Some back to back, it would feel. I think that those were reasons why people were so upset over the Avocado tour, because they were getting Life Wasted and Worldwide Suicide and Severed Hand back to back to back a lot.
Oh, Cry Me a River.
Well, I'm tapping in. I'm just trying to figure it out. So yeah, it's the Fixer. It was poppy. The sound dropped down a little bit, but not really much else. Then Ed intros the man with the big hands, Boom Gaspar. Lots of crowd participation with Crazy Mary here, and this is. You said that there was hesitation at the beginning, and they kind of start, and then they go back into it.
Yeah, they're into the verse here. Stone just misses a strum, and you hear Eddie just kind of stop with him, and then they probably looked at each other, went back into it. It's these little things like that doesn't really happen. Stone usually does not make those mistakes, so it's a sloppy mistake. But again, it's not ruining the rest of the song, and there's something kind of charming about it, and it leads into a what I thought was a fairly tame version, but a pretty tight version.
Yeah, you're right on both words, tame and tight. Tame because I feel like there was way more Mike than Boom. I feel like Mike is really overpowering Boom on this
Boom's
version.
mix was very low. I definitely noticed that.
And it feels like Mike's part, it wasn't this shared back and forth. It was Mike just kind of going off and Boom really just kind of, giving him the spotlight.
Right.
A little bit, and I like it better when they play off of each other a little more. It's not, it definitely tight, definitely sounds good, but we've heard versions where, everybody was a little bit more in sync and, it flowed a little better.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
All right, bread and butter territory here, but it's got a little curveball thrown in. We get Alive. This is the Alive spot, and it just feels like arena rock. Full, and although you probably aren't able to tell, I'm reading off my notes, although you probably aren't able to tell, this version of Alive was used in the beginning intro of this show. Were you able to tell?
Well, I already knew.
You remembered from when we put this together?
Yeah, you told me it was from, you said it was from the show you went to.
Well, yeah, they were all shows I went to, but I didn't remember which ones I put in there. I was just listening and said, hey, this sounds pretty good, and I just threw it in.
Yeah, I thought I remember you saying Alive was from Hartford.
Yeah, okay. All right. Then you have a better memory than I do for that.
No, I don't. I just remembered that. Probably because I hear the intro all the time.
That's probably why. Yeah, if you've listened to the intro of the show, which why haven't you? That version of Alive is what we use for that intro. So cool tie-in, and of course, it being one of the very first shows, I'm gonna go back to it. So good Alive again. Feels really good, but this bread and butter territory has a little bit of a curveball. So we go from Alive into Indifference, and you're thinking the lights are up. And I think at this point I was really much I was in the mindset of Ledbetter needed to close every show, and I've gotten out of that mindset obviously, but I didn't know how to feel about Indifference being here until the whole entire crowd just screamed their lungs out until it filled the room. But also this one is a little tough to tell. Is it a Ledbetter show or is it an Indifference show? But the way they use Indifference, the way they kind of end this show, it's hard to argue that I don't know where I'm going with this, but I think that they made Indifference feel like more of a positive song than a downer, so to speak. And it fits.
This was Hartford 2010, so I'm not going to say this was specifically a Ledbetter show. I think moving forward, Hartford they'll probably from now on have crowds and have sets that it will be a Ledbetter show, like MSG, places like that.
Right.
Hartford turns out to have really great shows, and the band does really well, and the band really has a lot of fun. And yeah, that'll be a new standard Ledbetter show at Hartford, I think.
Well, here's the thing. I think the other show, the last one they did, the 2013 one that we've referenced a couple times, I think they did Indifference on to close on that one too.
Well, then maybe they want to keep it special with Hartford. Maybe they found a new spot, and which I like more. We say it. Some shows are Ledbetter shows, but that doesn't mean that I'm going to say I want Ledbetter at MSG. God, I don't. I know those are Ledbetter shows, but do something special.
yeah, it just has to kind of, I guess, mix in with what, the crowd, how the crowd was doing, and how the set kind of gelled. And this version of Indifference just is, I think, kind of fits the positivity of the night. And even if you're ending on a little bit of a downer, it kind of doesn't end there. It ends. This is fun. This is fun at the end. I like it more now than I did back then. I kind of rolled my eyes.
Yeah, because you said you don't really like the way they play it, right?
Yeah, I've said that, but I'm growing to accept it. I don't care for the song that much, but I'm growing to accept this version.
It's been played.
Yes, you could say that. So Ed says they ain't done yet. They say play one more, and the crowd is really excited about this, obviously. Then he mentions Into the Wild, talks about Sean Penn. He was doing work in Haiti. Oh yeah, I mentioned this in my notes. I have to mention this. So then he mentions diphtheria, which is treatable, and he says you get shots for it as a kid, and then gives a website where you can donate for them to get treatment for diphtheria in Haiti after they were recovering from the earthquakes. This goes to all, the anti-vaxxers out there.
Yeah.
People in Haiti are dying for these vaccines that we have to put together, and in other places they still are. Haiti's had a lot of trouble over the years, but let's not get me started with anti-vaxxers. We already, we've already dealt with abortion and immigration in the show, but the anti-vaxxers, that's the step that we shouldn't take. But yes, vaccinate your children.
Yeah, let's not go down that rabbit hole.
I feel like there would be more anti-vaxxer people listening to the show than there would be anti-immigration. I'm not even going to answer. I'm not getting into it. Don't even try. Please don't. Bad idea. Bad. Strick it. Goodbye. So anyway, Ed invites Ben Bridwell from Band of Horses, who opened the night. And he comes out, he says, wearing high-heeled shoes, because apparently Ben Bridwell is really tall. That's what it seemed like. And Ed says, if there's a woman wearing 4-inch heels, I'll take them. Because Ed is what, like 5'6", something like that?
Yeah, probably something like that.
Yeah. All right, let's play this is how they end the show, All Along the Watchtower. Let's play it. Let's listen.
I can't get no relief. This is fair, they treat my wife, and I've been kicked by her. None of them are on the line. None of them know it's her.
We did talk about this a couple episodes and how we're not really fans of the song. This version, though, while I'm just having fun going back and listening to it, and although I think I didn't really love the song back then either, I thought it was kind of overplayed, overdone, which I still think. Did you hear like Ben? Like, it's tough to hear his vocals. Do you think he was confused at the style in which they were playing it? Because I mean, it's got to be one of those things where he's backstage and Ed's like, "Hey, come on for one last one," and he has he knows it's All Along the Watchtower. He knows the words, but he doesn't know the style in which Pearl Jam's going to play it. he's probably expecting it more like Hendrix.
Possibly. It could be like a what's the word I'm looking for? Like a genre gap between them and Pearl Jam, or maybe just something he's not used to singing, or maybe he was expecting like a Dylan version. I don't know.
Right. It's tough because if you were to just be told Pearl Jam does a version of All Along the Watchtower, I mean, this is kind of how I would expect it to go, but you got to go on stage and sing it. I'm just assuming that they haven't done it on this tour, I don't think, at least together. I'm just assuming that he's kind of confused. Yeah, it was 42 shows before they had done this. It just sounds like he's a little confused, right?
Yeah, I could agree to that.
Not bad.
No, not bad.
His vocals were a little light, but funny because we've brought this up a couple more times. The MSG show, they brought Ben out again, and I remember saying to my brother, this was during Encore 2, and they introduced Ben, and I said to my brother, I'm like, fuck, Watchtower. And my brother's probably like, oh, cool, Watchtower, that's awesome. Right. And I'm like, fuck, I don't want to hear this again. It's not ending the night at this point, but instead they go off and they do Hunger Strike. So I was that was much better surprise, good moment from that show, which we'll talk about in the coming months, I'm sure. But yeah, that is it for this one. Let's rate it. Go on ahead. What do you think?
This set is fantastic. It's a set I would love to have. A couple hiccups here and there, but like I said, they're just hiccups. It's a little sloppy, but it's fun, and it's energetic sloppiness, and it's not like they're having an off night. They're just playing like a rock and roll band. So I'm going to give it an 8. I really like this show. I really like the set.
Yeah, I have really good memories of this show. There's some that, and even in this time, we talked about the MSG show from night 2, mostly when we referenced it. But night 1, I think you were at that show, right?
Which one?
Night 1 MSG 2010.
Yeah.
You were, I'm pretty sure you were there. That show is really forgettable to me. And I don't go back to that set a lot. We're going to cover it at some point because we're doing all the MSG ones. But, I just, in that era, like, I just kind of, it's forgettable. And compared to the other ones, night 2 was such a, phenomenal night, historical night in some aspects. But like Hartford, I find ways to go back to this one because it's such a positive show. It's one that you don't want to think and listen to. When you listen to this show, sometimes that you're kind of like, I don't want a negative show. I don't want a show that's like really jammy or anything like that. I just want positivity. Always go back to this show. The show is the best for that. We didn't even talk about the poster, but what do you think about the poster? Because a lot of people love this poster.
Oh, yeah. Norman Rockwell, man. Fantastic poster.
Yep. With a little Mother Love Bone sticker on the skateboard. And what did it say? Like, T-Dog is whitewashing something along those lines. I wish I had the poster up. I don't have that one up. I do have it.
T-Bomb, Sawyer Shoes, Chuckles.
T-Bomb.
Barry Finn, the fun and fine art of wheat pasting fences.
That's what it was. Yep. Okay. Yeah, that is that poster has been a constant in my house. When I moved, I decided to I couldn't find a place for all 10, 11, 12 of my posters, so that one kind of got shifted out of the rotation, but it is a really good one. This show is an 8.5 to me. It is probably not top 5 of my favorites I've ever been to, but it's probably hitting close to the top 5. It's probably between 8 and 6. That's, that's, really, really good show, really fun to go back to, positive energy, ain't talking about love being, something that, defines Hartford. And again, what we talked about so much on this show, that the Boston, New York crowds kind of made up this kind of hybrid crowd that turned into Hartford, into the city that you would think would be Seattle, you would think would be Chicago, but no, it's Hartford, Connecticut. It's,
it's just a good straightforward show
of the country.
Straightforward show. Nothing wrong with it. Also on the skateboard, there is a Green River
Ramones.
and a Ramones sticker.
Yeah. Okay. Yep. Nice little tie-ins.
Yeah.
All right. One story from this one, and
one story only.
One story, one story only. This is from Brian. He says, this show had one of my all-time favorite posters, and while not a top 5 show for me, this one in particular stands out because it, for at least for a couple of reasons. One, it was the first of many shows that my then girlfriend, now wife, attended with me. I can't say the same for me. Yeah, right. Number 2, the show reopened my eyes to what an amazing force this band can be live. For multiple reasons, I only called Pearl Jam once between 2000 and 2010. I went to the show and the epic Boston show 2 nights later. While Hartford 2010 set doesn't stand out compared to some others that I've seen, it was one of a 2-night stand that blew my mind and left me with the resolve to see them as much as possible moving forward to make up for the time I've lost, which he says, I've done a good job in the 9 years since. 15 shows, 8 cities, 2 countries, not too shabby. This was the show that brought me back to Pearl Jam, and that for that reason alone, it will always hold a special place in my heart. And this is kind of how the conversation started, because he brought this up. He says, also, what is it about the Hartford shows? I've seen them there 3 times, 98, 2010, 2013, which he says, hands down, the greatest of the 20 Pearl Jam shows I've ever seen, arguably the greatest concert I've ever seen. Look, that show is up there. That show is really good, but man, that is some high praise for that. And also the legendary 1996 and 2008 shows, and then I emailed him back and I told him my theory, and we got into that. But yeah, Hartford brings out amazing performances. We covered this the whole night. It just happens, and it's a cool. It's cool that it happens. Like, I go back to, what this is kind of like. This is kind of like Grand Rapids.
Yeah.
Random. Totally random, but Grand Rapids ended up working so well. Even State College, random, kind of.
Random sneaky random.
Yeah. So, if they come back on tour anytime soon, the XL Center is where you want to see them.
Yeah.
I don't think they'll play Bridgeport, but that would be nice. It'd be close to home.
Yeah.
But, all right, let's close this one out. Let's get down to business.
Live on Four Legs is happy to present a weekly podcast dedicated to the Pearl Jam live experience. While we try to get ourselves to as many shows as possible, we have only attended a small fraction compared to the entire live history. That's why we need your help. We want to get to know who you are. If there's a live show that you've attended that you'd like to see us cover in our program, please send us an email at liveonfourlegs, that's the number 4, liveonfourlegspodcast@gmail.com. We want to know your entire live experience. Did you once miss a flight? Get lucky in the 10 Club lottery? Catch a white whale? Your stories will help us mold this into the best podcast it could possibly be. You're already getting to know who we are. Now it's time for us to know who you are.
So for all of you that have been listening to the show and have some ideas that you want to drop by us, drop us an email, liveonfourlegspodcast@gmail.com. We're on all the social medias, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. Facebook is probably where we do the most of our promoting and sharing and all that jazz. So if you're not friends with us or follow us on Facebook, head on over there. We're always talking, starting up good conversations over there. We promise that we're trying to get more exclusive stuff for Patreon. That's one thing that's been on the table for at least a month now that we've had recorded. So it's coming.
It exists.
We'll let you know when it's coming. But for anybody that wants to donate to the show, head on over to patreon.com/liveonfourlegs. Donate whatever you can to the show, and you get a chance to be a guest on our show, like John Farrar, or Patrick Bogle, or Bradley Piasecki, or Aurelian, can't pronounce his last name with an X. Moreau, was it?
Moreau? Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah, okay, all right. I wanted to make sure that I got him back, because he's a good dude, so, and I know he's listening, so what up? So, yeah, head on over, donate what you can, pitch into the show. It helps us, and it'll help you guys when we go out on tour, or when the band goes out on tour. We'll go out on tour too, and we'll set up, meet and greets and some parties, and put together some merch and things like that, and it'll be fun. We've been talking about possibly doing a meetup at a Mets game, and if there is more interest generated in that, we can do that. But also, this will tie in pretty nicely. You know where else we can do a meetup? Pretty soon.
Oh yeah, that's already a week away. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Our friends in the Pearl Jam tribute band Last Exit will be doing a show at the Warehouse in Amityville on Long Island here.
So for anybody that, look, Last Exit is awesome. They're awesome band to watch. I think they do the band justice. So I know some people are a little, and we'll convince you of that next week, because we're gonna have the one and only Pete. Pete's the Eddie of the band, and he does a lot of good stuff with the band. They've been doing it for a long time now, and he's coming on next week. We'll talk a little bit about how they prepare for shows and get ready, and what goes into their set lists, and where he draws his inspiration from. I think that'll be a lot of fun. But yeah, Last Exit in Amityville on May 24th, Friday, May 24th. I believe that's the right date. Yes. We're going to be there. I believe it's a $10 at the door show. If not,
probably. That sounds, yeah. I think that's what it was when I was there last time.
Yeah, but for all you Long Island people out there, head on over. If you go to the show, we're pretty easy to find. Matt has long hair. I have a face. So, come over, say hi to us. Let us know what you think about the show, and we'll talk about Pearl Jam, because that's what we're there to do. But hey, yeah, next week. Pete from Last Exit's going to join us next week to promote the show and talk about the band, and we're going to be doing Philadelphia 2005.
The decision has been made?
The decision has been made. We were going back and forth on two shows, because I had talked to Pete originally about two different ones, Boston 2004 and Philly 2005, and I think due to the bootleg situation, Philly wins just by a hair, just by a little bit of an edge. But that should be a fun one to do next week, and that's it. I think that's it for today.
Yeah.
Right? Did I check off all the boxes?
I think so.
All right. Then that's it.
All right.
All right. On the end of the show, no clip show this week. We put something together pretty good, and kind of dove into some kind of interesting memories, so to speak. That early part of the show was interesting, to say the least. That's all stuff I keep in the way back depths of my mind, you know, to be shared only on podcasts. So,
Of course.
yeah, congratulations. You guys got deep into my mind. Good for you guys. But, all right, let's close it out. It's the end. We're here, but not for much longer. Although we may be parting ways. I miss you already, and I miss you always. For Randy and Matt, Hartford, 2010. We ain't talking about Pearl Jam. Yes, we were. We were absolutely talking about Pearl Jam.
So,
but yeah. So bye.
Bye.
All right. All right. We ain't gonna play it, but I got it. All right. That's good. Good try. Point well taken. Don't be mad at me, but we don't come to your house saying I want bacon and eggs. We just don't do it. I mean, if you made us pancakes, we'd eat pancakes. That's what I'm saying. Or brownies with something in them. We'd just eat them.
It's all that's left of my leg. Black